Something I've been meaning to do and I've been talking about for quite a while is doing the beach down at the bottom of the island. And I'm actually really happy with how the volcano turned out. It's definitely a lot better than it was, rather than that just dirt kind of ugliness. It's got some more character to it. Now, I'm well aware that it has been like well over 100 days since the last episode, so my bad. And that mostly has been because of school and kind of a lack of motivation because I've been kind of burnt out because of school. Anyways, a lot going on outside, but this is Minecraft, so let's play some Minecraft. Now, there's some big news that I will probably state in the next one, just because I want to focus on something else for this one, and also it's kind of recent news, so there's some other stuff I want to do with it. Anyways, uh, today we have quite a bit to do. We're going to work on that beach that I've been waiting to do for a very long time. And by waiting, I mean I've been procrastinating and not doing it. Originally, there was going to be a custom village here in the back, but now that's kind of going to change because of the news that is coming out. So for now, today is going to be very terrain focused, and we're going all the way around and doing the beach and probably this river back here as well, which needs to be continued all the way around to the lake that we did custom as well. But for now, we are going to go ahead and just work on the beach. We're going to start off in the back here. So I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to let you guys watch me spend forever tearing up and draining and then refilling and building and all that cool stuff. You'll see what it is. And here we have the first bit of kind of terrain example. Or I guess, whoa, wings are cool. Or whatever you really want to call it. Basically, this is kind of the general idea of what I want to do. It's just on a smaller canvas than the whole area, if that makes sense. Throughout the entire jungle, I would like to have these kind of rocks, just to add some terrain variation, things like that. And having little like foliage bits like this, in my opinion, this is a really cool thing. It kind of looks like an arch, so I think we're going to do some paths throughout here to make it look like maybe people have traveled through. It's overgrown over time, but these will kind of like, I guess, force your we talked about forced perspective before, where this is kind of going to force you like in a certain direction. It looks like an arch, a doorway basically. I'm getting a little off topic. Just to kind of go over it, we've got a mix of moss and grass. These rocks are using pretty much the same palette that we use pretty much everywhere. We have a little bit of a darker accent in these rocks than like the volcano, for example, but we have some over there. Still kind of fits. And then here I have a very small example of, I think, what the jungle is going to kind of look like, at least around the edge. So around the beach, I would like to have these palm tree kind of things, just to kind of intro into the jungle. Some of these palm trees are obviously going to be spread throughout a jungle. Actually, when looking through jungles, like real jungles, it's actually like every species of tree on the planet. There's not really a specific jungle tree, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But we're going to try and put a bunch of different trees in there and eventually fill this out at some point, one day, maybe. The goal here was to make a pretty full jungle floor, so I think we're going to have leaves pretty much everywhere. This might get a little messy though, so maybe this may be a little bit different. We'll see. I want to have a bunch of different tree heights to kind of fill in the background, because I don't really want to be able to, like from here, I don't want to be able to see the volcano. Obviously I can now because there's two trees, but like I want it to feel closed in and like you're completely surrounded. Obviously adding some drip leaves and stuff. We'll probably put ferns and grass and all that good foliage stuff as we go. In terms of what's next, that's a lot. So we need to continue this beach. Actually, I can show this a little bit closer. We have this gradient from the sand to green grass, obviously. Just makes it look better than our like really harsh sand straight to grass that we had before. And then this is meant to look like kind of wet sand, gets darker and darker and darker until we get to mud down in here. Now, it would be great if we had like mangrove water. If you, I can maybe show a thing, but I really like how the water looks in a mangrove biome, and I really wish we had it here because it'd look a lot better than the blue. But, you know, we can't always have that. And then you can see over on this side, if I actually, come over here, you can see it better. We have a very similar thing where it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, except instead of going to sand this time, we went back to mud, so we went more browns and then into the green over here. Now, this isn't really my area, so I didn't want to do too much with it. So this is all we did. Now you can see there's obviously a really weird cutoff. Not sure if we're ever going to go past this, to be completely honest. Maybe we can find a way to transition it out a little bit better than this. We'll see. It is on the back of the, base, so we'll see if we ever get there. And we also need to finish this weird cutoff, and as well as this weird cutoff over here, because this was all that was in my little schematic that I had done, because I was lazy is what I was. There's no excuse for that. So we also need to continue it around, and then all the way around the island at some point in my life, I will get that done. However, I'm going to go do something in the shopping district, so I'll see you over there. But before we get back to building, one, because I'm kind of burnt out, that's really actually all there is. We're here in New Shopping, and I've been, along with Fred and Quinn, we put up some Halloween decorations, because I know that the last video was like 3 months ago. Currently, it's October, so we're starting to put up Halloween decorations. Me, Fred, and Quinn thought we would get a kind of head start on it and throw our decorations out here. We thought we could kind of spice up the area. Spice up? I don't know what the word there was, but... Okay. Alright, but before we... Hello, who's groaning? I've also been kind of... I don't know, for whatever reason, motivated to work on anything other than my own... Hello! Other than my own projects. Which means I have been kind of like cleaning up some areas around New Shopping. You can see there's some areas, I'll go over here. There's like unfinished cliffs and stuff. So right behind our shop here, Terraform, I have worked on a little bit of a cliffside. And I think I'm going to kind of help out the community and work on kind of finishing this up and doing this like all the way around the backside and kind of working on some of those things. Now, because of that, I also did some texturing and stuff over here and spawn proofed with other things. I got a little excessive, so anyways, because I'm doing that, I kind of was sitting here thinking some of these buildings have been unfinished for months, probably getting close to a year now. Uh, it's actually been almost a year since we've been on the server. I know I haven't uploaded all that much for it being almost a year, but we have, and we've gotten a decent bit done. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Some of these shops are almost a year old because I think this was in episode 1. So we need to kind of, or my thought process is maybe I could help some people who maybe aren't motivated or aren't playing anymore to finish up these buildings. I'm not going to obviously use the shops, but just to finish them up, give them a facade to work with, even if they don't get used and that player's not online, we can have a nice cityscape around this whole area. That being said, since we upgraded the new shop, well, not upgraded, we upgraded it to the new style, we no longer have our building service. One, because I kind of had my own projects and all that stuff. But I think what I'm going to do is actually install an office up here. Now, if I had scaffolding on me, which I don't, let me go grab some really quick. And we're going to break through this ceiling right here. Obviously, there's nothing up here right now, but we have plenty of space up here to build ourselves a little office. I don't think I've said this in a video, but I'm going to pursue architecture. So kind of having a design build shop isn't too far off of kind of my own interests. That being said, we're going to bring back our build service in the form of an office up here. And I'm going to let people kind of maybe leave some books or something. I think I have a table here. I might be able to use book and quills. Otherwise, I have a desk over here that people, we can kind of sit down, talk about what they want their build to look like, and then I can go ahead and build it for them or design, however that's going to go. But we're going to open the service back up, and hopefully we can kind of get shopping to look much more finished because it's been here for quite a while. And I think it's about time that we get some final touches on it just so we can kind of bring everything together, like some of these unfinished cliff faces. Some of these kind of awkward, windy roads, that's what I'm working on here. This used to be kind of just an awkward space, trying to figure out what to do here without blocking a shop. But I just want to kind of help some of the community areas look more finished and more put together. I already have the schematic because I was more motivated to do this last night than I was to do anything actually productive for my base. So I'm going to go ahead, go grab the materials because I have not gotten them. I just logged on and started recording. And then we will get to work on our new office. And now it's time for Le Tour de l'Office. The goal is to make it feel a little bit executive almost and keep it kind of warm tones, darker, kind of contrast with like the stone. Like this is a lot. I mean, it's dark, but it's like cooler tones because like all of this is super pale, very light. And then up here, we went for a lot warmer, darker tones. Not that I know anything about color theory or anything like that, but I'm saying things. Pretty much put paintings everywhere because I don't know how to fill walls. I'm not the greatest at interiors, so we're getting there. We're trying. We use the new shelves here as well, just to kind of block off these barrels. These barrels were meant to have like book and quills or something in them, I think was the plan. Just to allow people to basically order the service essentially, leave down what they need, and then put it here. This would probably be an instruction manual. This is kind of meant to be a pinup board. If you know anything about those, it's literally just like a cork board or whatever it's called, and you can pin up different like designs or like pieces of paper. So that's what this is. These could be different designs for buildings or the landscape. And then, big clock because why not? I also really like these bushes. I've started using them more. Since you can't directly put them in here, this is an armor stand that's scaled up to 1.6 or whatever it is to match the block. So it looks like it's a normal block. And then we put the moss and whatchamacallit, the bush on top. I believe it's the same thing I did out here. Yeah, because I changed some of these to have the same exact thing. We just put it in a pot. Real original. But I think that might really be all for this room. I mean, there's not much to it. I don't know that this is really going to work anymore. I'll explain that later. But it's still a very cool build. In my opinion, I like how it feels in here. So that's all that really matters, I suppose. Now what we need to do is get back to the base and finish up the beach. Alright, so back here at the base, what we need to get done for pretty much the rest of the episode is continuing this beach all the way around the entire island. Now, the first thing that I kind of want to do is right here where you can see the sand is like really thick or like wide or deep here. And I want to pull that back just so it's not so thick. Especially because when you look on the map here, there's just a lot of sand and I want to pull it back. Now, this would give us more room for trees just around the entire island. So I guess we'll take that as we will. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe not. That's going to take a lot of extra work. But the point is, we just need to continue the beach all the way around. So that includes all of the bamboo and whatnot into the grass. And then obviously kind of the, I guess, mud and whatever towards the end. So I guess that means we should probably get to work. Now, I've nearly completed the beach. Sort of, almost close. Basically there. But, you know me, I don't do it all the way. We have this area over here, which at one point I was thinking about maybe raising it and doing a cliff. I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore. We'll see. And then we have kind of the back over there. I can show you the map. Go ahead and wave to Technic. In the back here, you can see this is where we stopped with the river back here. There's also this mud that we should probably do at some point. These are kind of like off-camera things that I'll probably do, or maybe little mini montages in one of the next videos, but I don't want to do them right now. One, because they're kind of boring to do, especially because I've done it so much all the way around, and they're not that interesting to watch. Believe it or not, it's actually been a year that we've been on the server, and I think that now is a good time for us to kind of go on a little tour, basically, of what we've done so far, and kind of reflect on some of the things we've done. And we're going to do that by starting at our base here. And we'll kind of go in order, so we'll start with the storage room, kind of just show it off. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but it was like our first kind of build. I've never really done something like this, and that kind of applies to everything that I've done throughout the entire series. Is everything I've done is kind of new and something I've never tried before. It's a lot of me experimenting and learning how to do new things, and this was kind of one of those things. And it was something that stuck around and became really helpful throughout the entire series so far. Now coming out here is where most of our work has been. The cliffs especially, somehow I got those all done in one day in terms of building. I actually built them all in one day. Designing and, getting all the materials is a whole different story, but I still really like how they turned out. It was the first time I ever did something like that with Axiom on a large scale, similar to what the volcano is. I never did something in that style, so also something very new. Some small things I would change about the cliffs, but I'm really pretty happy with them. We already redid them once. I don't know that I would redo them again. I like how they turned out. Only thing I would maybe change is probably the waterfalls a bit, but even then, I still like how it turned out. The bridge is not my favorite in some parts. I like how it turned out in general. It was the first thing that I really did on a large scale without Lightmatica. Something I want to do more is not use Lightmatica as much. So that's kind of another thing to reflect on, is just learning how to build more freely, kind of free build, free hand things rather than designing them, because the designing is the fun part in my opinion. So once I've already designed them in creative, not as fun to build them based off a schematic. And then of course the volcano, which is one of our most recent huge builds. I really like how it turned out as well. A whole new style that I've never done, and I like how it is. And we were just over here, so I'll be quick with it and I won't talk too much. But it was one of our first builds. I think it is our first build that we actually did in terms of actual buildings, not just terrain. We started with terrain at the base, and then we went here. And this has made us a lot of money. It was a really good shop when I stocked it. And, I don't do that because I don't have the motivation to stock things when I need to get materials for my own builds. But still a very nice shop. I really like the redesign of it. I can't really take credit for the style just because Fred was the one who made the other version in the mall, and that's kind of what this was based on. And this office that we did earlier, I really like how it turned out. It's very cozy in my opinion. But overall, this build I'm really happy with. I don't think there's really anything I would change about it. Once again, one of the first times I've ever built in this style. More of a cyberpunk-y kind of thing. I'd also like to say I really like these cliffs here. These I did freehand, so I'm happy with how they turned out, especially given that they were freehand and I didn't have a schematic for them. That's just kind of an honorable mention, I suppose. And I suppose finally is the train station. I'm actually really happy with how these trees turned out. I never built like that. I really want to get good at different styles of trees. I've built some of these style before in the past, just like shape wise, but I definitely messed with some new, I guess, techniques. A bunch of different blocks that I normally wouldn't have used, I used here, and I really like how they turned out. Also, kind of experimented with doing kind of like leaning trees like this, and I think it turned out okay. That part's okay. I don't really know what happened here. It's like kind of snapped to the middle, but I suppose that's okay. Now, the train station itself, I was never really truly happy with it, if I'm being completely honest. I wanted it to be grand, so I made it sort of big on the inside. I just don't really like the palette that we went for. Kind of more basic shapes, and I wish we went a different direction with it. So maybe something to think about for the future. But in general, it's still a sort of cool idea. It was hard to implement, and I lost motivation for it. Uh, Partially because I kept redoing so many different things, so many redstone issues. So I kind of lost motivation for it over time. But it's still a very cool build. And I want to come back to it at some point. I guess that brings us to the end of today's video. It might be a little less progress than some of our other videos since we didn't get a whole lot done. And it's been a long time since the last one, so I apologize. But there's some very, very big additions to the base coming very soon. This time for real, because I'm on a time crunch. And I'm pretty excited for it, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it. But I can't wait to see you guys in the next video where we actually do those things. I will try to get to work on finishing the beach. Since I didn't actually finish it, I'll get it done between the next one and this one. Anyways, you guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys on the next one.